welcome to another edition of Te Akau TV. I'm joined this morning by Jamie Richards on what is the morning of Thursday, 9th of December. How's it going, Jamie?
Not too bad, thank you, Hazy.
Well, another big week of racing as we head into the Waikato Cup meeting at Te Rapa. But I guess firstly, we'll just touch on some sad news that came through the week. Obviously, the retirement of Novair the news of the retirement of Novair was broken last night. And that is incredibly sad given the potential that he had left, and he was really a star on the rise, wasn't he?
Yeah, for sure. Could have been anything. So pretty frustrating, really, and you never like to see that. Well, he's going to be reassessed in about 10, 12 days' time, but it's not looking great. He's done an injury to a small ligament up and behind his sesamoid in his fetlock, something that happens only when they're going high speed. So, obviously happened in the race, and he just sort of had 10 days in the paddock and been back in 4 or 5 days after 4 or 5 days at the Water Walker. And just when we did our routine sort of stable inspections there on Monday, just had a touch of filling, and when he flexed it, he was a little bit sore. So, yeah, could have. Let's hope that there's some magical cure, but it's not looking great.
And I guess that's the key thing, and why something like this can go undetected until now. Obviously, he's sound on trot up, but when you flex the tendon, that was when he kind of had a bit of uncomfort.
Yeah, had a bit of comfort, sort of trotted off sore after that. So, yeah, we hadn't even sort of done anything serious with him since he'd been back. It's just something that's been lingering in the background there, unfortunately. But yeah, he'll he was certainly a horse on the rise, and disappointing for all the connections of the horse and everybody involved here at the stable. He's certainly a stable favourite. So let's just see what happens over the next couple of weeks. But yeah, as I say, it's not looking great.
Absolutely, and of course, if he isn't able to race again on the news in 12 days' time, then of course he's highly likely to find his home at stud in the coming years anyway. So, what a great horse he's been for you, and what a win that was in the 2000 Guineas. You don't often see horses come from that point in the turn in an impossible position and then come out and win. So there you go. Kudos to you, Novair. We'll be thinking of you over the next wee while. So moving along to the week that was, I guess it was a bit disappointing to float all the horses down to Trentham. I know a lot's been said of that through the week, but we see a lot of those races rescheduled today. And I know for you, it's obviously opened up the opportunity to be able to split Brando and Prix de Feu.
Yeah, so I think enough's been said about Wellington, but just complete human error and incompetence, which is very frustrating. So we go up to Te Rapa on Saturday, and as you say, we're going to run Prix de Feu and the Captain Cook, but we're going to steer away from the Weight for Age race and keep Brando at handicap conditions over 1400 in the J-Swap Sprint. So just thought that was the right way to play it, with Brando off his rating, and it gives you the option of possibly going back to 1200 for a race like the Railway, or going up to a mile for a race like the Richmond Mile or the Thorndon. So plenty of options coming up from. I just thought the 1400 was a nice fit a month between runs.
Absolutely, and he seems to be pretty well rated in that, well weighted in that race as well. So outside of that, Top Brass performed really well under Palmer at Matamata as well, carrying the claim and straight away and won well in what was a pretty highly competitive field.
Yeah, and he's a horse that does enjoy a little bit of give in the ground. So obviously we got a pretty substantial rain here last Saturday, and that played into his hands a little bit. But Palmer gave him a lovely ride, and he's certainly very good value at the 4Ks at the moment.
Absolutely. So this week we're going to cover off 3 meetings. We're going to have a look at Tauranga on Friday, which is tomorrow, and then we're going to cover the races at Awapuni and Te Rapa. So we'll kick off at Tauranga in race 1, the Superliquor Greaton 1600. It's a maiden 3-year-old affair. 2 horses engaged, the first of which is Self Obsession with Michael McNabb on board.
Yeah, had her first up run at will debut at Tauranga 2 weeks ago. Ran really well for third, up to the mile suit. She's a big staying sort of filly. This is a competitive field, but we do like her, and she'll appreciate the step up to the mile.
And Tree S from Barrier 3 with Craig Girls on board.
Yeah, she's knocking on the door. She's been getting back in her races off bad barriers, closing off well. I think the step up to the mile should suit her. We've just sort of been trying to get her to sort of do things our way a little bit. She just wants to overdo things a little bit, but she's got a nice barrier there. Hopefully she can jump and take a position. But again, as I said, this is a nice nice field of maiden 3-year-old staying types of horses on the rise, I would say.
Absolutely. And moving on to race 2, the Gartshaw Construction 1200. It's a maiden affair, 2 horses engaged, first of which was Flat Track Bully with Craig Grills on board.
Yeah, the horse can really gallop, but he doesn't make things easy on himself. He needs to sort of get back and relax and hit the line. He did exactly that last time, so we'll be trying to replicate that with him. Track work's been solid. No reason he can't be a decent each way chance.
Great. And the well-named Charmander from Barrier 10 with Daniel Johnson on board. I thought he was good on debut at New Plymouth.
Yeah, he was a bit of an awkward sort of run race that there was no tempo in it, and I thought he did well to close as well as he did from back. He's unfortunately drawn a little bit awkward in barrier 10, so we'll just have to hope for a little bit of luck in running, but his work's been good, and as long as he can sort of replicate that form or improve on that form from Taranaki, he's got to be a nice chance.
Great. And race 4, there's 2 runners engaged, but they're both on the ballot, of which they've got riders listed in other fields. So I'm going to move down to race 5, the Rob Pinney Realty Com 1400. It's a maiden affair, Nasenko from barrier 6 with Craig Grills aboard.
Yeah, just go back to race 4 there, Hazy.
Yep.
Like a Star will run off the ballot in that race.
Okay.
Daniela ride her in that. Miss Ella won't start from 19. We've been happy with her. She was one of the ones, much like Nasenko, that went to Taranaki and the races were called off. But she's going well. Work was good on Tuesday morning, and we do like her. Just put a line through that nought she's got beside her name. Take her off her first start. She'll run well. And as you said, Nasenko in race 5. Happy with her. She also went down to Taranaki and the races were abandoned, but she's going well. Happy with her first up run. Off a bad gate, she went back and made good solid ground. Drawn a bit of barrier. Should be able to race in the first half a dozen and be a nice chance.
Good as gold. And obviously race 6, Like a Star, will come out of that race. And moving down to race 7, the Jackson Reeves Lawyers 1400. It's a rating 74 benchmark. The first of which is Sea Jets from barrier 4 with Danielle Johnson on board.
Yeah, he's been running pretty well. Sea Jets is bit of a hard horse to get a hold of at times. So we went back to the trials in between runs waiting for this right-handed option because we think he's a little bit better this way around. We sort of just tried to ride him back a bit and get him finding the line there because he's sort of been getting up on the speed from bad gates and using quite a bit of petrol early and just sort of labouring away late. So he's drawn a nice barrier. We've played around with a bit of gear on him. He should get a nice soft run in behind the speed without having to sort of spend too much petrol. And if he puts his best foot forward, certainly got to be a good winning chance. But he can be a little bit tricky from time to time.
He seems to be a bit of an enigma from previous conversations we've had with him. So down to the next runner, we've got Lightning Field is also nominated at Te Rapa. Will he take his place here?
I think so. I think they're both good quality races. He's really looking for a midweek option coming through from a 65. It's always difficult to step up to a 74 in one of these sort of better days. They put up the stakes at Tauranga on Friday with the meeting that was supposed to be at Ellerslie sort of being put to one side while we wait for the border to go down and all of those sorts of things. So these fields have come up really strong. I think we'll probably run him over the 1400. He got back and closed well over 12 at Taranaki last time. We won a 65 away from some of these big hitters that are in here. But if he brings his winning form, which a horse with a bit of confidence can, then there's no reason he can't get back a little bit off an awkward gate and find the line strongly.
Absolutely. And down to race 8, the Jackson Reeves Lawyers 1400. Maybe that's a different name. We've got Charmaine's Dream for Fortuna with Joe Cameron on board.
Race 8 is sponsored by the Real Chartered Accountants, Hazy.
There you go. It looks like a
and we have the mighty Charm Spirit Mare and Charmaine's Dream in here, who is also quite hard to catch and very temperamental. She's drawn out. She will go forward, hopefully, if she jumps away well. She can gallop on a day, but she's quite cantankerous and hard to train, so not really sure what to expect from her.
There you go. And so that wraps up Tauranga. And moving over to Saturday's racing, we kick off at Awapuni. And it looks like you're giving the young apprentice Joe Cameroon a bit of a shot at riding all of the runners on the card for you down there, including a group race, which will be very exciting for the young fellow who's riding extremely well at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. Joe's is a young rider who took a while to find his feet, but he's riding well now. And there really is a lack of senior riders, and Joe works really hard for us here at the stable. So happy to give him an opportunity down there with a few nice rides, including Bellon Rouge in the stakes race.
Absolutely. So we'll kick off in race 5, the Lawnmaster Lithium 1400. It's an open handicap. We've got perfect scenario from barrier 12, really well in at the weights with 54 kilos climbing down to 52.
Yeah, so he's a horse that can gallop. His track work's always very strong, but he has been disappointing on occasions at the races. We scratched him last week from Matamata, where he had to carry top weight in a bad gate, hoping that we'd find a better barrier and down in the weights a bit here. But we've found a pretty wet track and an awkward barrier. I think he can handle a little bit of soft if that track continued to get back in the next few days. He'll certainly be taking his place. The plan is certainly to send him down at this stage, but he's going to be back a little bit from an awkward gate. If he gallops like he does in the mornings, he's certainly a chance at a long price, but it's whether you're willing to risk him.
Cool. And moving down to race 8, the Lawnmaster Group 3 Eulogy Stakes. It's a 3-year-old set weight for fillies over the mile. We've got the 1,000 Guineas place getter by Burgundy, Bellon Rouge, with Joe Cameroon on board from barrier 12.
Yeah, so she just had a quiet week in the paddock after the Guineas, and we were always going to bring her up and target this race. She had an exhibition gallop at Christchurch last Friday at Riccarton. Everything went well there. She's on the truck up as we speak. So we're happy with her. I guess the only concern for me is the heavy track, a month between runs and staying at a mile. But class is going to take her a long way. So again, we'd like to see that track get back a little bit if we can. But all reports from the team in the South Island is that she's done well, and she's going to be an interesting runner there.
Fantastic. And moving down to the race 10, the Sens 1600, rating 65 benchmark. We've got Devoted from barrier 9 with Joe Cameroon on board.
Yeah, happy enough with him. I thought he was okay first up, had a decent blow, will improve a bit further. But he won a very ordinary mile maiden at Avondale, which he's sort of just struggling up in the 65 grade a little bit. So trying to place him as best as we can. Drawn a little bit awkward, doesn't seem to mind a bit of soft ground. So we'll just have to, he'll be a sort of a decent each way play, but can give a bit of cheek if everything goes his way.
Fantastic. And moving down to the group day at Te Rapa, we kick off in race 1, which is a pretty early start at 11:54 a.m. for the Wentwood Grange 3-year-old over set weight and penalties over the 1,200 metres. We've got 2 runners, the first of which is the Cracker Million winner on the bubbles from barrier 4.
And the Manawatu Size Produce winner, Hazy, of course.
Well. Correct.
But he's going well. He obviously got held up a bit earlier in the spring with bit of an entrapped epiglottis. So he had a bit of surgery to sort that out. He's had a couple of trials. I think his work's been good. I'm quite mindful that he hasn't raced for some time. He'll improve a lot with the outing. He's got to carry a bit of pudding there with his set weights and penalties conditions of the race. But it's a nice race to kick him off, and he's got a nice draw, and he can certainly give a bit of cheek fresh. But watch out for him next time.
Absolutely. The $1.70 looks very skinny for a horse fresh up after a long time off, I would think. And moving down to the last start winner, Sophisticato from barrier 8.
Yeah, he's going well. Danielle rides, as you say, drawn a bit awkward. He never seems to be able to draw a gate. He's 8 of 8. He's going to be back a little bit. But if he brings his Taupo form, he's got to be a nice chance. So he's been working up with on the bubbles, and they've both been going well.
Great. And moving down to race 2, the Adashiko Fashion Stakes Sprint, rating 74 benchmark 1,200, with the first of which is a horse that you tipped as a best bet a couple of weeks ago and just went down, I think, a short half head. Phantom Witness from barrier 14 with Opie Bosson on board.
Yeah, he's had a little trial in between times. Seems to be going well. Would have been quite confident if he had drawn a gate. So he was able to sort of race up on the speed in his trial. We might see if he can slide forward a little bit. Sort of sick of going backwards and running home, going back and running home strongly and filling the minor placings. If he jumps well, we might try and take up a handy position. But pretty good galloper, this bloke. Be an interesting runner there for us on Saturday.
Absolutely, and of course we mentioned Lightning Field, unlikely to start here, more likely to race tomorrow at Tauranga. And moving down to race 3, the Hidden Beard Group 2 Wakefield Challenge Stakes. Of course, this was the race moved from Trentham last week. It's a 2-year-old set weight affair over 1,100 metres. We had 2 runners lined up and nominated, but I see one's been scratched, which was Bolano. The second of which is Te Rapa, that doesn't have a jockey listed, but I hear that she will be starting.
Yeah, we'll just go back to race 2 there, Miss Aotearoa. We better have a quick chat about her. She's drawn the outside, but look, she's disappointing last time. Probably made a mistake putting the blinkers on her, so we've taken those back off. We've played around with a little bit of gear on her. If she has any luck in running, I think she's got to be an each way chance. She is a stakes winner as a 3-year-old and has just had a little bit of surgery on her knees since then, and she's just struggling to sort of find her form again. But if she puts in, she'll be a decent chance. And then race 3, as you say, is the Wakefield coming up from Wellington last week. We gave a couple of horses a bit of work with the intention of heading this way. Bolano drew the outside, so that was an easy call to wait for Pukekohe with her. And the other filly, Taviama's a filly I've got a lot of time for. She's drawn well in barrier 4. Troy was quite happy with her work here this morning. So look, we'll probably put in a little nomination with her for Pukekohe on Wednesday, and then we can make a call tomorrow what we're going to do. Just don't want to do the wrong thing and not have her run as well as what we think she can first up. So wait and see with her. But she's certainly a really nice filly. But it's a sort of a wide open race. I think Wolverine's certainly the one to beat. And then other than her, I think there's a lot of other chances. So we might take our chance, but we'll just confirm things there.
Absolutely. There seems to be a pretty big wrap on the old Wolverine. And moving down to race 5, the Group 3 J-Swap Sprint, open handicap over the 1400. We've got Brando, who was engaged or was going to line up in the Captain Cook last week, but now moves into this Group 3 event from Barrier 3 with Opie Bosson on board.
Yeah, so we sort of spoke about him briefly at the beginning there. Got the nice draw, seems to be going well. I think he's going to be one of our nicer chances on the day. It's a nice field, got a lot of respect around Dragon Leap, although he has drawn wide. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he goes. But happy with the horse, and this should be a nice race for him.
Great. And moving on to race 6, the Broker Web Risk Services 1400, rating 65 benchmark. We've got the big Savabeel gelding, the Mighty Spa from Barrier 14 with Opie Bosson on board.
Yeah, happy with him. Had him to go to Wellington last week. He drew 24, and again, he's drawn badly there on Saturday, but we want to try and qualify him for the Stella Artois, so we're going to have a throw at the stumps. He'll be back a little bit like he normally is, but I think he can really attack the line centre track there, as long as there's a bit of tempo in it, which hopefully there will be with these decent sized fields. Carmen Line is a really nice filly that obviously we keep a close eye on here in Matamata, so she'll be hard to beat, but the horse is going well. Got to be a nice each way chance.
Great. And moving on to race 7, the Group 2 Kalazuzu Stakes, weight for age for the fillies and mares over the mile. We've got Mai Tai from Barrier 7 with Opie Bosson on board.
Yep, she's going well. We made a bit of a call there to shy away from the Captain Cook and concentrate on the fillies and mares race, which I think is the right decision. Work's been good. I think she's got to be a decent each way chance.
Great. And down to race 9, we had one horse nominated, Devoted, that is on the ballot. Unlikely to start here. I think you mentioned it before.
More than likely crack on down towards Awapuni. Looks a softer option for him.
Cool. And race 10, the Group 1 Ridges Wellington Captain Cook Stakes. It's a weight for age over a mile. We've got Pre-Defer from Barrier 1 with Opie Bosson on board.
Yeah, so that's worked in his favour. He's sort of drawn poorly last week down there at Wellington. He's got the nice barrier this week. And he's a horse that is probably a length off the top Group 1 horses. And he's been drawing bad gates at Hastings and hasn't had a lot of luck. So if he gets the right run in the race, he's certainly a good winning chance. But it's an even field. There's been a few extras added in with the move to Te Rapa. But really happy with him. He's going well, and no reason he can't be competitive.
Great. Has he run at Te Rapa before?
He's run at Te Rapa. He ran in the J Swap last year and ran second to Coventina Bay. So yeah, I think his form at Te Rapa is okay.
And the Foxbridge as well, I just saw. Well, that wraps up the runners for the weekend. So do we have a best bet? We narrowly went down last week with Felicity, and I think I spooked her, and she didn't get home.
You homed her.
Honed her. The best maidener in the country, I think I called her.
Look, we're not having a great run here at the moment, so hopefully that can change on the Premier Day there at Te Rapa tomorrow. But why don't we go Brando in the J Swap Sprint? I think he's well weighted. He's got the nice draw, and hopefully he can capitalise on a good run.
Great. That sounds good. And I guess moving on to next week, there is races at Pukekohe, Otaki, Awapuni again, and there's at Te Rapa as well. No Premier meetings next week. You'll see a number of the 2-year-olds that we've mentioned over the last couple of the weeks line up. What can we see in terms of runners next week?
We'll have a good representation in the 2-year-old race at Puki on Wednesday, including Time Flies, is a horse that we like. Then the Premier meeting next Saturday is at Awapuni, where they've got that weight for age 1400, where I think Tabby Mack's going. We'll have a couple of 2-year-olds down there, hopefully. We'll have a handful of runners at Te Rapa at the second meeting. But yeah, we're sort of getting a bit closer to Christmas. We've got trials on Monday. We'll have 2-year-olds there and quite a few to trial at Rotorua on Monday. So yeah, we're starting to ramp things up in towards Ellerslie.
And of course, that Auckland border opens up on the 15th. Are you able to travel into the Super City?
Yeah, looking forward to that. Obviously, Boxing Day races and New Year's Day races. Be good to get back up to headquarters. We enjoyed quite a bit of success up there last year throughout the carnival. So hopefully we've got the horses to do the same again this year.
Absolutely. And just finishing off quickly, Bright Blue Sky, has she found her way over to Brisbane yet?
No, not yet. She's going to gallop here tomorrow morning, right-handed. Just give her a little bit more practice that way around. She flies on Sunday. She's going to have a trial at Rosehill on Tuesday. Tommy Berry's going to ride her for us. And then she will travel up to the Gold Coast and probably run on Boxing Day in the BJ McLaughlin against Coolangatta, or she'll run at Doomben on New Year's Day. So yeah, we're happy with her. Work's been good. Looking forward to seeing how she's going to trial right-handed, and then onwards and upwards towards the Magic Millions, which will be really exciting.
Have you engaged a rider for the Magic Millions?
Tommy's going to trial her, and then we're just going to make a bit of a plan from there.
Good as gold. Well, thanks for your time, Jamie, and we will catch you again next week. Cheers.
No problem, Hazy. Thank you.